Hey, this is Jason Mendelson. I just wanted to share some great news. Apple TV will be premiering on the platform This Is America, Charlie Brown, July 3rd, 2026, and The Charlie Brown and Snoopy Show, July 10th, 2026. It'll be the first time both series will have appeared on the platform, and we're so excited for fans to get to revel in these old, nostalgic, great cartoons. I want to tell you a little history of the two series. The first is This Is America, Charlie Brown. It was the first animated miniseries ever on television back in 1988 and 1989. In the 80s, miniseries were big. Some of the great classic ones are Roots and Lonesome Dove. And our father, Lee Mendelson, along with Bill Melendez and Charles Schultz, thought it'd be really cool to use the Charlie Brown characters and the Peanuts gang to talk about American history. So they did that in an 8-part miniseries. And many of those shows will now be available on Apple for the first time on July 3rd. One of the coolest things about the This Is America miniseries is that they got these wonderful, wonderful jazz musicians to come in and perform and compose the scores. So you have Dave Brubeck in one of them, Dave Grusin, Wynton Marsalis, the Winans, David Benoit, and George Winston did one. So all of these great musicians came in and each gave their own flavor to all the different stories that are told in the miniseries. I know that was really fun for me. I got to go around the country with my father when I was a kid and do research for the miniseries and got to meet all these great historical figures through their homes and their families' traditions and everything else. And we also got to research in the Smithsonian. And one of the coolest things was getting to listen when they recorded the music. I was a voice on the show. I played Peppermint Patty in most of the specials. And the great highlight for me was I got to read about the birth of the Constitution in that episode and narrate it as Peppermint Patty. So that was pretty thrilling for me as a 10, 11-year-old. The special also, the miniseries, was one that was to just take little snippets of American history and highlight some aspects, not everything, obviously. But we can't be more thrilled that that's coming out July 3rd, 2026. One more quick story about This Is America, Charlie Brown. There's a scene in the episode called The Smithsonian and the Presidency, where Charlie Brown and Lucy go to visit the U.S. History Museum in Washington, D.C. in the special. And when they go there, the first exhibit they see on the wall is a picture of a little round-headed, bald kid having the ball pulled away from him by a child who looks very similar to Lucy. And they look at it and go, "What's that?" And when we made the show, my father thought nobody would believe this, but when we went to visit the Smithsonian and researching the specials, the miniseries, that literally was what was in the front of the exhibit at the U.S. History Museum. So it was life imitating art, imitating life, and we put it in the special. Whether people want to believe that or not, it's a true story. Then there's the Charlie Brown and Snoopy Show. It was the first and only Saturday morning cartoon in the Peanuts universe. It ran from 1983 to 1984. There were only 18 episodes. Charles Schultz said he was done after 18, and so that was the end of the Saturday morning show. But it was a great cartoon because it was little vignettes from all the great comic strips that Charles Schultz had done. So instead of being long-form half-hour shows, each half hour has a bunch of vignettes. Sometimes there's 3, sometimes there's many more little segments that are more reflective of the comic strip. I am so thrilled it's coming out because selfishly, I was rerun. I was Linus and Lucy's little brother in the special. I got to voice him when I was 4 years old. My dad would bring me into the studio and he'd read me the lines and then make me go louder or more emotional or whatever it was. And as a 4-year-old, I distinctly remember being in this soundproof studio trying to relay the experience of riding on the back of my mother's bicycle, trying to avoid all the traffic as she would go on a various errand or task she was doing in the cartoon. So in those 18 episodes, I had a couple of roles. There are other great child voice actors that populated that show too. And they're a really cute cartoon. All 18 are coming to Apple July 10th. One of the fun things for me was Rerun was this kid who was in the comic strip experiencing the world for the first time. So everything he was doing, it was his first time. And so Charles Schultz's brilliance shines through and he's showing all of us what it was like to learn about things for the first time. So while the perils of riding on the back of my mother's bicycle in the special or in the series are highlighted, there's also a love scene I got to have, a romance in a supermarket with another young girl in the back of a cart. So as a 4-year-old, this was all new to me, and to the character, the whole world was new to him. And so it was really fun to do that, 40 years ago. And I'm so excited that everyone gets to see it now on Apple TV. And finally, I'll recreate some of the voice work I did 44 years ago for the Charlie Brown and Snoopy Show. It goes like this. Look out for that truck! Look out for that hedge! Look out for that bus! Those were my lines as a 4-year-old playing rerun for the Charlie Brown and Snoopy Show.